Thanks for taking a few minutes to review this overview of our total oxygen administration device. As you can see from this presentation, we've developed a very versatile system that can be utilized both by hospitals, field hospitals, and emergency responders alike on just about any situation that you'll encounter to take care of multiple victims. Besides being very versatile, we wanted to also make sure that the system was easily transported and didn't require any special vehicles or trailers to do so. As you can see, the entire system fits into a wheeled hard case and can be transported by anyone and in any vehicle. The entire system weighs approximately 50 pounds total. There's several distribution systems out there, some of which use high pressure oxygen cylinders and others that use liquid oxygen sources. However, our system is the only system that can actually utilize both of these sources either simultaneously or separately. As I said before, we made the system very portable and we've made sure that it's scalable to meet both your short as well as your long-term needs. Since we use the same equipment that your healthcare providers are accustomed to using on a daily basis, it's very easy to set up, operate, and maintain, and it essentially has no moving parts. The only moving parts the system has is actually the selector on your flow meters for flow rates. We've also made sure that there's no need for electricity. So if you're deployed to an austere environment or your facility's lost electrical power, your oxygen administration will not be adversely affected. You can also change out depleted sources without stopping administration of oxygen to any of your patients. And it's medically grade pure since there is actually no transfilling of our system. It also comes with a 5-year limited warranty. Now we'll briefly discuss the two types of oxygen sources that are available. Some of the pros of high pressure cylinders are they're very common both in the field as well as in medical facilities, and they're available in abundance through your local oxygen vendors. The Toad uses any cylinder with a standard CGA 540 connection, and one of the fantastic things with high pressure oxygen cylinders are you can store them for years full and they're ready for an instant deployment at any time. The other thing that's nice is that they do have medical grade purity. Some of the cons are the cylinders are incredibly heavy and difficult to move around, and they have a low volume of gas that can be administered. Liquid oxygen or LOX will be delivered to you in a vertical gas liquid vessel or a VGL. Some of the pros are a large amount of oxygen in a relatively small vessel. An example is a 280 liter VGL is the equivalent to 34 high pressure oxygen H cylinders. This is also medical grade purity, and the VGL has the ability to convert liquid oxygen to gaseous oxygen at a rate of 167 liters per minute. Some of the cons are LOX is a cryogenic liquid, which if you come in contact with it can cause serious injury to the provider. The great thing with our system is the Toad only uses the gas outlet on the VGL, which means the responders will never come in contact with raw liquid oxygen. For the planners, LOX has an inherent loss or evaporation rate of 1 to 3 liters per day, which the planners cannot justify keeping the VGLs filled on the off chance that they're going to have to deploy it. That's why our system can have you start out with your high pressure cylinders, and then as your event goes on, you can switch over to your liquid oxygen once you get them filled and delivered to you. As you can see below, it gives you an idea how long these VGLs will last, running the Toad at a maximum of 160 liters per minute. This slide just shows you the top of a VGL and what you'll encounter when you're using them. Again, we like simplicity, so if you look at the diagram on the right, the only thing that you'll be interested in is the gas use valve that you can see on the left side of that tank. Also, you have a pressure gauge which shows you how much pressure is in the vessel, and then off to your upper right you'll see a liquid level gauge which will tell you what the status of your tank is. The left diagram just shows you the inner workings of a VGL. In the coil that you see going down that center tank is actually what heats up the liquid oxygen to turn it into gas so you can deliver it to your patient. Now we'll move on to your different components. This is the towed interface box, and when we designed this, we made it so it has a series of check valves inside it, which will allow you to hook up or disconnect any part of the system without interfering with the rest of its operations. You can tell it also has a pressure gauge in its face, which just like you would have on a hospital wall or in your ambulance, telling you what pressure is being delivered to your system at all times. With these check valves that we've put in here, you can go ahead and replace any of your low sources without interrupting administration of oxygen to your patients. You can also remove a component from this system and never interrupt the rest of the system from the administration of oxygen. Our standard system comes with two oxygen supply hoses, which are constructed of medical grade rubber. And the input end uses a female DIS 1240 connection, which is pretty standard for most hospitals or vehicles. And the output end uses a DIS 1240 connection with a check valve, which allows you to hook up the female end, turn your source on, and not have any gas escape the distal end of the hose because of the check valve. The system's standard length of supply lines are 20 feet, but we have had customers, due to how their footprint is on their operations, have requested custom lengths up to a maximum of 75 feet each. If your facility or your department doesn't use these disc connectors, we can match anything that you need to make sure that our systems match what your personnel are accustomed to. Each standard towed comes with two patient flow strands. Each strand will not exceed 80 liters per minute total when all the flow meters on that strand are running at their maximum output. That means that you'll never exceed 160 liters per minute total. That's important because if you'll remember, I told you a VGL can only convert liquid to a gas at a rate of 167 liters per minute. In configuring the strands this way, it means the caregiver will never have to worry about exceeding the capabilities of the sources in affecting the amount of oxygen being delivered to their patients. Standard configurations of two strands per system is a flow rate of 0 to 25 liters per minute for 6 patients, 0 to 15 for 10 patients, 0 to 10 for 16 patients, and for your lower acuity shelters, 0 to 8 liters per minute can supply 20 patients. A standard spacing between the flow meters is 6 feet, and we have had quite a few customers that the footprint of their patient care areas differ, so they ask for customized spacing between the flow meters, which the longest we've received is a spacing of 12 feet between flow meters. Another thing we use is a swivel T disconnect, which aids in the ease of actually putting the system away, which almost eliminates any kinking of the hose. And since we use check valve disconnectors, you can remove any of the flow meters or all of them and never worry about losing any gas at that position. We use high quality Flowtech flow meters, which are built to withstand the rigors of multiple deployments and give you several years of serviceability. They also connect to our flow strands with simple female disconnectors. Each standard system comes with 2 high pressure regulators. These are used on your high pressure oxygen cylinders to reduce the pressure down to 50 psi, and it can't be changed by the provider in the field. You get 2 of these high pressure regulators because most incidents will start using high pressure cylinders, and then as time goes on and availability allows, the provider may desire to switch over to a liquid oxygen VGL, and they would only use 1 high pressure tank while they were switching out the VGL when it becomes depleted. You'll also notice that it has 1 additional male disconnector for the provider to access for any other oxygen needs they may have. The regulator also doesn't require any kind of wrenches. It has a knurled CGA 540 connection on it, which goes on hand tight and comes off very easily the same way. Also, you'll notice in the picture that red, yellow, and green area window is a in-gauge design that Flowtech has come up with. That means there's no external gauges on these units that can be broken off while they're being deployed or stored. Then finally, we come to the Victor low pressure regulator. Each unit comes with 1 Victor low pressure regulator, and this has a standard CGA 540 connection on it, and you do require a wrench to apply this to your VGL, and that is also provided to you within the kit. As you can see from the sign, we have clearly marked it that this regulator is used only for a low pressure VGL, and conversely, the high pressure regulators we previously discussed, although they have the same CGA 540 connection, cannot be used on a VGL because they will not handle low pressure ranges. We disassemble each one of these Victor regulators and we clean them so they're fit and ready for medical use. And the operating pressure is set at the factory at 55 psi. And then we remove the knob that can select a varying pressure and replace it with a cap. That way the end user can't try to adjust the pressures to get more out of the system. This is a safety we put in to ensure that you're getting a continuous acceptable flow of oxygen to your patients. Just as a sidebar, we have made custom trailers for customers. This specific unit went to Southwest Louisiana. It houses 4 toads, and it has all the administration equipment in the forward part of that box, like non-rebreathers, nebulizers, nasal cannulas. They've put intubation equipment in there. And also below that box, you can see there's 4 H cylinders, which allows them to immediately deploy this unit anywhere they need it, set up for oxygen administration. And these specific toads have the 0 to 15 configuration per unit, so this particular trailer can actually administer up to 40 patients instantly. Thank you again for watching the presentation. In the following is my contact information, and please feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you again.